Hello again, my name is Jörg Krebber, and I'd like to continue about our intelligent kind of food systems we have in the Western world, right? And the amazing thing is with food that literally everything has not only gone wrong, but it has gone wrong so much, and in every detail, it is today that we are doing the opposite from that what makes sense. Now, if I tell you what makes sense is, for example, when Eastern people, in my time, 40 years ago, Chinese people, and you know this saying about Chinese, who paid the doctor? The healthy one. You know this system. You've heard of that. Like, that's only before Mao, like 100 years ago, because the first big idiot appeared on the planet was Mao. And he abandoned all kind of acupuncture and natural medicine. That was the first one. He did abandon that. Right? So I don't know what happened to the planet, but 100 years ago, we really gone off the planet. Right? So, but before that, the system was, the medical system in China was, for thousands of years, that everybody in the village had to pay the doctor, had to give him a little contribution, but only those ones who were healthy. The sick ones didn't have to pay, because when a sick one appeared in a village, it was the fault of the doctor, because he didn't have a good survey on this guy. Whatever he did, he should have checked him. But as you know, Chinese medicine worked on 5 pillars of Shaolin, which is not only like what you eat and what you drink, but also how you think and how you behave and what kind of environment you have, or maybe some situation you have at home or whatever. So a balance is always the most important thing. Here, we come to something very important. You see our fantastic pyramid, which was all right, and then carbohydrates. Now, here comes something absolutely, for me, beyond understanding is when I talk to people, I don't eat any carbohydrates. First of all, I don't know how you do that, right? The moment you eat some vegetables, the moment that means you don't touch sugar at all. It's not possible, because when you drink something, I don't eat any carbohydrates. And then they call low carb and high carb and all that shit, because dumber than dumb is this expression, I don't want any carbohydrates. Anything is carbohydrates, yeah? And somebody eats a bread, it's carbohydrates. If you eat a little vegetables, it's carbohydrates, right? But you can say, well, there's no carbohydrates, this is a vegetable. But it's the same. So here we come to carbohydrates. Sugar we have refined, and that refined sugar, which is very bad and evil to our health because it's deprived of a lot of minerals, actually about 70 trace minerals are not in it anymore, because medical kingdom teaches up today that our blood is an exact copy of the seawater in regard to the components of all the minerals in the seawater. 150 years ago, exactly in 1850, in Europe, a doctor, he was understanding this, and he thought, if that is like that, then I should be able to take seawater and give this intravenous to a person. So he did, and see what happened. The person cured pretty fast. Up today, we have this NaCl intravenous for all the people, for all the emergencies in the hospitals when you're deprived of a lot of blood by accident or whatever means it is, to stabilize your system. At the same time, now we reach to this point, teaching on one side that our blood is a copy of the seawater, right, with its components, but we don't, then at the same time we say don't have any salt to eat anymore. But not only that we don't eat salt anymore, we also come up with sugars, and that is refined sugar. Now what happens if somebody says, well, I don't eat much sugar? You can't eat little sugar. You know why? Because sugar is everywhere, hidden in everything inside. It's, for example, in Europe, every single person consumes every week pure 2 pounds of white refined sugar. That's not little anymore. And that is why, because it's everywhere hidden, in every drink, in every food, in every canned food, plus that what you put in your tea, in your coffee, in your cake. So we have 2 pounds per week, per person, all over the planet, and that refined sugar does have one wonderful side effect, which is that the little that you only have in the food, which is left over in the food, because most of the foods are now refined, it's not little in it, it's only little in it. That little rest will be taken out by the refined sugar. How does that work? For example, you eat sugar, but that white sugar needs to be metabolized in the process of in a body. It needs a lot of other things to be balanced, because you know why? We have learned about balance. Balance is the only thing that you don't die. So before you die, the body will balance it, and if you come up with a little sugar, such little as 2 pounds a week, you have to understand there's a lot of calcium needed. From where? From our bones. And that calcium from our bones is then traveling where? Into our bloodstream. Now, what is the number one disease on the planet? Dying disease. Calcification in our bloodstreams. Heart attacks. Calcification. Right? So, I don't have to say really more, because we have enough calcium, but we bring it out of our bones, and at the same time we have the proof for that, because in our bones is not enough calcium left. Hair is a part of our calcium. Skin, everything. So we are decreasing in calcium on one side, which is known. Nobody denies it. Doctors say, well, this is genetically, or we don't know where it comes from. Fucking hell, you know where it comes from. It comes from the sugar, from the enormous amount of white sugar. Plus, in the EU, I don't know how it's in the rest of the world or in America and Canada, but I know one thing. In Europe, this refined sugar is subsidized with every year, because this pure, innocent, white sugar producing companies, they're so nice, we have to subsidize them with €1 billion every year. So why don't I get subsidized for selling more drugs on this planet, huh? What is going wrong here? You have to understand this system, and this sugar, 2 pounds a week, is not little, and it's also not much. It's beyond belief. And my understanding is actually that I don't understand why the planets still have people by so much sugar. Because if you give a horse or a dog this amount of sugar, he'll be dead quickly soon, because he can't balance it. Now, the only reason why we're still alive is because we have a very intelligent immune system that can balance it to a long, long time. But we are not healthy anymore, we are sick. And cancer and all these other diseases are directly deriving from sugar. Not directly, but indirectly. Why? Because the sugar now comes, the main story. The moment you have sugar in your blood, what does it need to burn it? A lot of oxygen. So is oxygen not the most vital, important thing for being healthy? No, when you take sugar, the sugar is only being burned with the help of oxygen. Otherwise you can't burn it, because it's called a silent combustion, or let's say oxidization. So everything that oxidizes in our blood cell is nothing else but the process that we call open fire burning. When we have fire burning, what does it need? It needs a lot of oxygen. Same in our system. Now, carbohydrates, low carb, no carb, and all that doesn't work, because those people are just ignorant and stupid and don't know what they're really doing. Not by just unknowingly, right? And by that, what has been told or not been told to us through this thing. So now I give you a nice little table, and this here, I will explain that to you. For example, this is a diagram. Here it shows, the black line shows how much sugar, for example, 1,000, and in which time, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So how much sugar in which time can travel into the blood? Of course, 1,000 is too high, because here our sugar level is 100. And if you have 140, 160 sugar level, or 200, you are already on the prescription from our beloved pharma. And so they tell you, don't worry, you can eat and do and drink as much sugar as you want because we sell you beautiful insulin. But why is that? Your own insulin had decreased. You can't produce any more insulin. Now here, look, we have mainly 4 different kinds of sugar on the world. One is the white sugar, the refined sugar. That needs about 3 seconds to go into the blood and explode literally. And that explosion is possible because it burns like pure alcohol on an open flame. And what does it do? Vroom, it will just be burned by the help of oxygen. So if we eat as little as 2 pounds a week of refined white sugar, right, that you can imagine, no, you cannot imagine how much oxygen was gone. Valuable oxygen was being deprived of our blood system, and where it is needed most is in the lymphatic nodes. We have over 80 lymph nodes all over in the body, and they are nothing but doing one thing all the time: cleaning, taking out, cleaning, producing, watching, and checking that our blood stays clean. So, but the white sugar makes this impossible because without the help of oxygen, or constantly depriving us of oxygen, that will be difficult. In 3 seconds it's there. Then they say, okay, don't eat so much white sugar. It's better you eat some fruits. Fruits are very healthy because fruit sugar does not take 3 seconds. It takes actually only 4 seconds to go into the blood. Of course, a second longer makes a big difference for your life, right? You live a couple of seconds longer. 4 seconds and 3 seconds. And you know why? The one is a monosaccharide and the other is a disaccharide. Mono means single and the other is a 2 saccharides. Makes no difference at all to be burned. Plus, now comes something paradox. A white refined sugar is easier in the metabolic process to be broken down than a fruit sugar, because a fruit sugar is more complex. So when you studied a little bit about sugars, how the molecules are, then you know all of a sudden a fruit sugar is everything but easy to be broken down. If you eat a little amount of it, it's fine. It's good for the taste. It's fine. I have no problem with that. I eat sugars. I eat no white sugar, refined sugar. I love fruit sugar, but only for the taste and not for the health. Because they say you have to eat a lot of fruits because it has a lot of vitamins. Actually, it's the one and only that has the least of vitamins, very little compared to green leafy vegetables. But the sugar speed and the blues is just the same. It takes a lot of what? Oxygen, and when oxygen is being combusted, like burned down, plus a lot of calcium from your bone marrow, from your bones, have to travel into the blood system to balance it. The medical kingdom calls it buffer. We buffer that, we buffer that, we buffer that. That's a medical proper expression for it. So then they say, okay, fruits is very healthy. I don't know why fruit is healthier, right? Healthier than this one, because they're both the same troublemakers. Now they say, okay, when you are diabetic, it's better to have both not eaten so much or very little, and if you like, you can do that because we help you. We have a nice, beautiful, plenty of insulin. Then they come and say, but still, we have a better diet for you. We go on this line here, and this is actually not sugar. That is, they tell you, eat a lot of meat, pig, pork, swine, cow, and all that. You know why? Because the sugar level rises slowly. Why does the sugar level when you eat meat rise slowly? Because it doesn't have any sugar. So, but how do you make of fats and meats and cheese sugar if there's no sugar in it? That's simply because our pancreas produces the opposite of insulin, the glucagon, which is able to reconvert the fats and the proteins into sugars. But that is difficult, and because it's difficult, it takes longer. And because it takes longer, they say, well, the sugar level is not rising so fast. Eat a lot of meat. The sugar level is increasing slowly. Very smart. You have to study for that, or what? I don't think you need even brain to detect that. Right? that this has nothing to do. But one thing I know, and the proof is there, when you have eaten a good, nice big piece of beef, I mean organic beef, fantastic, but you will be deadly tired afterwards, right? You know, you don't even know whether you get rid of your chair, right? The travels with you because you can't get up anymore. But when you eat my food, nice, beautiful vegetables with everything on it, yeah, you have a lot of power, you're flying afterwards. That's the big difference. And when you see the tigers and the lions out in the wilderness in Africa, and they have just devoured a big, nice zebra, you can go to them and caress them. But not because they're so peaceful. They're deadly tired. They're smashed. That's what their peace is. And the same happens to you. You're finished. You're done, right, for this day. But the next morning you get up, and you know what you do when you have done that to you? You need a lot of sugar to push you up. So that means first you take one hammer on one side, and then you take a hammer on another side and bang that on your head. More intelligence is not behind this table. But that table is not made by me. That's the one and only prescribed by whole world by the by the diabetologists. Are they called like this? Diabetic doctors, right. So we have one sugar here. See this one? This is the green one. Officially, that one does not exist. What happens? Why does this one not exist? This is a sugar, and it's called a polysaccharide. What means poly? Poly means much. We have now many poly diseases, you know. When a doctor doesn't know what you have, he calls it, it is a polyarthritis. Yeah? That means you have many arthritis. Very nice, huh? Beautiful. So here, this is a polysaccharide. A polysaccharide is a long-chain sugar. It is usually only existing in grains and in some roots vegetables like parsnip and carrots. And these long-grain sugars, here, these ones, they are the only ones, if you eat them, where the sugar level rises, you see, very slowly, does not need much insulin, but it tastes as sweet as honey. It's beautiful, it has the same satisfaction, but it does not exist. You know why? Because it does not exist in the medical world, in the pharmaceutical world, and also not in the supermarket world. Because people would not buy it. You know why? Because it's not refined, it's not subsidized, and then it's more expensive. But that is the sugar you eat, you love, and we eat, because I love sweet, and I have no problem with that. And on top of it, I have promised you to show you how to make from this sugar, which I give to diabetic people. And you know what happened if they take this sugar and I tell them, take as much as you want. And you know what? A couple of days, they only use half the amount of insulin. That's bad? No, that's not bad. That's very good, because we know by the side effect from overproducing, from overusing insulin is the worst effect for all the other diseases to come. So the most expensive disease is diabetes. And we have soon 100 million diabetic people on the planet. But it's a big business, right? And for that, we need the refined sugar industry. We have to take out the salt from the body, right? Bring a lot of sugar in it, and then tell the people eat a lot of meat. But this meat productions all over the world is in billions, in trillions, yeah? And that is causing more damage to our atmospheric, yeah, environment than what planes and cars can produce. This is the biggest killer of all. It does not kill our planet outside, but it kills the people inside. And there's an old sentence to finish it. Leo Tolstoy was saying that as long as we have butchers, yeah, as long we will have battlefields. Because if you don't butcher, if you don't kill animals, you will also not be able to kill humans, right? And that is a sentence already done 150 years ago. Leo Tolstoy was writing about that, and it's true. And in my time, when I lived in India, people did not eat meat, and they were very peaceful. Now they changed it, they adopted to the Western mentality, and they're gone. Thank you.